morning, everybody. Hope that you're doing well. We've had a lot going on the last few days and everything like that. So I am, I had made myself a commitment to at least do 2 videos per week with the YouTube, because I took like a hiatus of 4 to 6 weeks, maybe a couple months or something like that and everything. And I'm like, I need track, because it's just as beneficial for me to be doing this. And I, from the response that I get from some people, and it's not much, I'm not telling you that I get a bunch of them or anything like that, but when you get a blind guy that sends you a message and says, hey, because of you, I started a junk removal business and, I've got more money in the bank than I've ever had in my life. Well, hello, that's what makes all of this content worthwhile and everything. So, no more than anything, I want people to experience what it is to have, the big, that's an F, screw you money, okay? And what I mean by that is that when you wake up in the morning, I'm not going to a job that sucks. I'm not going to a job that I don't want to do. I'm not having to deal with a boss that I absolutely despise. I'm making choices for my life to be better, okay? That comes from freedom. That freedom comes from having money, okay? Regardless of what it is that you do, you better come to grips with it. It costs money. If you're in this country, okay? And for those that are watching this and are automatically going to say, well, you know what, I'm just going to walk out into the woods, live off the land, and that doesn't cost any money. Bull. If you leave the house and you're not butt naked going to the woods, somebody had to pay for your clothes, somebody had to pay for your shoes. If you get any food on the way to the woods, then somebody had to pay for that. Okay, so no matter what it is that you do, you have to have money, okay? And the thing about it is that the cost of living in this country has skyrocketed and pay has not. Pay has been slowly but steadily, but nowhere close to what it has as far as the expense of being here. There's $100,000 trucks now that you can buy off the showroom floor. That's insane, okay? So my whole thing is buy this stuff. I want you to become financially independent, and I want you to figure out, hey, how much do I need and everything, to be able to live this lifestyle that I would like, all right? One of the things that happened, we bought 5 units this week. It's got a triplex and a duplex on it. It's in rough shape. There's going to be a lot of value add with it and everything, and we're in the process of we need to do some things. There was a fire in one of the units, okay? So we got to rehab that unit. The other thing is that the fire marshal came out, and there's a number of issues in the buildings themselves that we need to correct, okay? So we're going to have to do that. The other thing is that the rents are grossly under market rate. So now we have to figure out a happy medium on how much we go up on rent without pushing people out, because one of the things you do not want to do is all of a sudden for your property to become vacant. And the thing about it is that when it's vacant and it's in bad shape, guess what? You're going to attract the same exact type of resident, all right? The thing about it is that rarely, and I've never had this happen myself, will a bad resident become good. More often than not, you will have good tenants that all of a sudden some type of life circumstance happens and then they become bad. It could be a motor on a car goes out, they spend the money to get the motor replaced instead of paying rent. Now we got this situation where they're trying to play catch up. A buddy of mine, Carlo in Houston, had a situation where there was a gentleman that lived at one of his places, self-employed. Guy hurt his hands, okay? It's a funny thing. People ask me, I hate wearing gloves, okay? I really do. And I lost those fingertips millwright when I was working in a foundry a number of years ago. But people ask me, say, man, why do you always wear gloves and everything? And I absolutely despise it. And I can tell you exactly why. Is for safety. Because if I can't use these, then I'm not making money. My bills don't get paid. My dogs don't get fed. I don't get to go out on dates. I don't get to buy dinners. I don't get massages. I don't get Harleys. I don't get all that stuff, okay? If I can't work. I've got an employee, Carla. her bills don't get paid if she's not getting a check. Now, granted, she's got skills. She'll be able to go to work somewhere else and get paid and everything like that. But I look at things like this, okay? So here's the thing is that, you look at risk versus reward, all right? So granted, it's uncomfortable wearing gloves, and especially these big old meat hooks that I got on my hands and everything, to be able to find gloves, especially leather gloves that fit these, it's virtually impossible. There's very few places that I can go and shop at, because that's either a 2XL or a 3XL depending, and if they're Chinese sizes, then it's a 4XL, glove that I need to get. So we've had a lot going on, all right, and having to do with this property, we're in the process of, making contact with people, finding out what they got going on and everything, because none of these people would qualify my standards to be able to rent from me if they were coming in off of the street, so to speak, okay? They don't have credit. They probably got, past criminal, and then they also got, some of them are on fixed incomes, and so they don't have twice the income or 3 times the income. I do twice. If the rent's $1,000 a month, you need to be able to show me verification that you at least make $2,000 a month, okay? That's one of my criteria. It does not disqualify a person if they don't meet each one of those. However, I get more of a move-in fee for them to be able to come in. I just had a situation where a person was asked, hey, we got this house that's going to be ready November 1st, okay? I've put it out there, and people are starting to contact me about it and everything, because the rental market is extremely competitive where I'm at. So we've done this, had a person said, yes, I want to go ahead and put down a deposit for when it becomes ready. Okay, great. I need to get a background check, credit check, all that and everything. Who all is going to be living there? Me and my son. I said, okay. So I send them the application. Comes back, the son does it. And I was told that we're going to do them tonight. Well, 3 days later, nothing. And so I said something and said, oh yeah. So then the son does it. Well, then I sent a message and basically said, hey, look, we haven't heard anything. I'm assuming that, you're not interested in everything. We're going to go ahead and put it out there to see if we can get somebody. Oh, things have been this and that, and I've had to do this and everything, and so I've gone ahead and filled it out, and you got it. Lo and behold, there's about 7 legal proceedings having to do with evictions in the last 5 years with this individual. And some of these are very close in the timeline, okay? I understand things do happen. And if you look in the last 5 years and a person's got an eviction, okay, things can happen and whatnot. But when you've got 3 of them that are within a 2 to 2.5 year span, now it's setting a precedence that we almost have a way of life that's occurring. And that's a financial difficulty, and that's not something that I really want to get involved with. However, I don't disqualify anybody. It's just more of a move-in fee. The move-in fee is double, plus I get the first month's rent. If you can fade that, I'll give you a shot, because you're telling me with the money that you got in your hand, hey, I can make this happen, And the way that I do my leases is it's in a situation where if we have any problems, we can get those taken care of quite fast, okay? And so this is a business. This is not the charity. This is not Red Cross, okay? But on top of that, being a landlord, this is a people business. And I have to remain conscious of that. Unfortunately, you cannot supply a great property to somebody for pennies when you should be getting dollars. Everything is proportional in the sense of basically you get what you pay for, And it is a horrible justice that if you're a landlord and you're not charging market rate with your rents for your residents, If something ever happens and you don't plan on giving them a place in the future when either their rent gets raised and they can't afford it, they have to leave because their background doesn't match the criteria, or something of that nature, if you don't plan on taking care of that person for the rest of their life, you are doing them a huge injustice by not charging market rate. The reason for that is because they're hired. All right. Studio apartment. This area, part of town, the quality of the place and everything, minimum it should rent for us $500. That place has been going for $325 for 3 years. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot wrong with it. It needs some change to happen, okay? The thing about it, though, is that when you go in there, and if everything was fixed up, that place would go for $750 a month. So now there's going to be such a huge increase that these people can't fathom that, and they can't fade it as well. And because nobody's done, there hasn't been a rent increase on this property in 3 years. And so what ends up happening is that these people just get blindsided because they've been living status quo. We as humans are habitual, okay? We adapt real well to the environment that we're in. You always see in the self-help books, if you're the smartest person in the room, what do you need to do? Find another room, okay? So that you're going to elevate yourself to what you are around, okay? Well, guess what? If you're hanging out with 5 thieves, you're going to be the 6th because stealing is acceptable in that circle and you're eventually going to do it. All right? I don't make the rules, folks, but I do have to play by them, okay? And again, I've heard so many landlords say, well, they've been there for years and everything, and, they pay the rent kind of on time and everything like that, and so I'm good with that and everything, and I'm thinking, okay. Well, so, and you go by there and the property has central heat and air, but you see these big windows unit hanging outside, okay? The reason is because they're not getting paid market rent rate and putting the money away. And so when something happens, the resident just goes out and buys, a window unit and they don't say anything, okay? Well, great example is with window units. Starts dripping down on the window sill, before you know it, that whole side of the house is rotted away. I don't make the rules, folks, but I do have to play by them. You have to acknowledge that they do exist. And so the thing about it is that whether you got 1 property or 10,000, business, okay? You are selling a product. The product that you sell is housing. You need to treat this like a business. Stay on top of the situation, know exactly what the rents are in your area, and then charge accordingly. And make sure that your numbers work. Okay? The problem is that I hear so many people is that, they'll have a place and it rents for, we'll say $2,000 a month, and payment, taxes, and insurance and everything, and they're at, $1,800. Oh, I'm cash flowing $200 a month. No, you're not. You didn't put the $150, $200 a month away that the roof is going to cost you. You didn't put the $50 or $60 away for the heating and air conditioning that you have to put away, because it's going to last about 7 to 10 years, okay? I've spent, I think, $18,000 in the last year and a half on new ACs, okay? In the last 3 years, I've spent close to $100,000 on roofs, all right? I don't make the rules, folks, but I do have to play by them, okay? And the thing is that properties cost money. And if you're not putting all those expenses in the apartments, and then whatever's left over, that's what you judge your numbers by, you are going to fail. Again, I don't make the rules, but I have to play by them, and I want you to play by them too, because that's what has to happen to be a winner. The numbers never lie. You have to do it like that. And if you think that just getting close is going to be good enough, well, that's great to assess a piece of property to see if you want to move forward. However, now, you need to make sure that it is all there before you sign on the dotted line and say, I'm going to be an owner. Have yourself a very wonderful day. Leave in the comments. Tell them I'm crazy. Tell me I'm great. Whatever it is. If you got any questions, my email's in the description. It's rentalrobertpcola@gmail.com. Have a wonderful day. Be productive, be profitable, and figure out who's got your money.